So just coming alongside Dundrum Town Centre Shopping Centre, down towards the traffic lights and the Lewis Bridge. And it's a lovely, absolutely gorgeous day. Not a day to be going to work, that's for sure. There's an awful lot of repetition and tedium, isn't there, with commuting, if you think about it. Yeah, it makes you wonder how we got here to having to do this. I suppose going back some time, you had to walk to work, I suppose. I mean, cars now are ridiculous. Some households having loads of cars, I suppose more than two, and some having none, but the ones with none are pretty few and far between. I've pretty much had a car continuously since I was 17. I actually passed my driving test when I was 17. I did look it up recently because, I don't know, for some reason I thought you had to be 18, but I started to learn to drive when I was 16, and there wasn't a car in the house, so it was a case of the only experience I got was with the driving instructor. So I did have quite a few lessons. I think I had 25, thinking back, and I think that's okay considering there was no one in the house who drove, and to learn from scratch essentially. I mean, I knew the mechanics. I know how an internal combustion engine works, its limitations, how gears work and the clutch, which pedal does what. I had all the essentials, which gear for, what speed and load and all that. So I had a good understanding of how it worked. And it was really just then getting the practical sort of experience and learning the signs and the rules of the road and things like that. And I think those things have actually changed slightly over the years because, so it was 1989 when I learned to drive, and it's now 2019, which tells me it's 30 years I've been driving. So yeah, and I don't consider myself to be an excellent driver. I think a lot of people think they're good drivers, and it's hard to know. And I think in the daily commute and the A to B stuff, and nothing really happens of any note. Well, you don't have to be a very high standard, and I think there's only certain situations where you really need to be a good driver. Bad weather. I've driven in some pretty stormy conditions over the years. I remember once driving through Lincolnshire, and it was a very stormy, dark night on a country road that wasn't very well lit, and literally turned a corner, and there was a tree across the road, just there. I'd been blown over literally minutes before I arrived. And in those scenarios, you can easily see that if you're not paying enough attention, it can be difficult. I've driven in snow. Snow can be a big challenge, especially if it's a bit like fog, where it might not be continuous, it might not be obvious, and you could end up in the middle of a snowstorm, which is possible. And how to deal with that, how to drive, how to change your behaviours. Modern cars have a lot of features now to help you, and I know 30 years ago I didn't have those, certainly not standard. Things like anti-lock brakes and traction control, stability control, all those sorts of things. So, there were situations you get in, and you could even just on a wet, muddy road, and you could be slipping and sliding, and it gives you a little bit of a shock maybe at the time, but over time, I suppose you do get a bit of an experience for controlling a car that may be slightly out of control. I have driven down a road, quite a steep hill. It's only as I got onto the hill, and I was going quite fast, 30 miles an hour maybe a bit faster, when I discovered that it was completely ice. It was all ice all the way down to the bottom. And there was, I did maintain some control, but the laws of physics, they can be an unruly mistress. And as I lost control, because I was turning slightly, the car just started to spin. And I think it was good because it was a hill in a sense, because no one could get up the hill, so no one was coming towards me, which is good. Plus, there'd also been, I think there was some snow at the side of the road, and that provided a natural barrier for me to bounce off. And I remember as I went into the spin, and I suppose it wasn't that a faster spin, but as I was spinning round and round, bouncing from side to side across the road down this hill, I felt awfully calm. There was nothing worked anymore. The brakes and the steering wheel suddenly just became ornaments, just for show. and it probably only lasted maybe less than a minute. I think it felt longer. It felt a bit like slow motion, but I felt an awful and a calmness really. I didn't feel fright or shock or fear. I just felt calm, and a couple of times since when I've been in a similar situation, I do get this air of calmness and almost not giving up, but just not fearing it anymore, knowing that there's nothing you can do and that you just have to let it happen. So, but yeah, just letting a cyclist go here. I'm feeling very good today now. I didn't want to cut in front of him like he cut in front of me. But yeah, so that serenity and the calmness of just letting go and letting it happen, and knowing that what will be will be. Either it'll all turn out good, and it did turn out good, or it won't. But yeah, I'm glad to say it did.